Hi everyone. Today I want to encourage us as we remember at this time of year the extraordinary and often abnormal hope that we have that God is with us. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed with all the things going on in the world and in our lives, especially at this time of year. There's plenty to worry us all at the moment as we face a global pandemic, political turmoil, an economic crisis, and numerous personal tragedies and struggles. If we listen to the narrative we hear from the news, Facebook, Twitter, it's easy to lose sight of the abnormal hope that we have in Jesus and be swept up in whatever narrative we give our attention to. When I was in my third year of university, I worked in a church in Paris. Although the church was large for France, it was a small world with its own set of rules, its own politics, and of course, its own difficulties. I remember that halfway through my time there was a lot of difficult situations that I'd become involved in that weighed on me heavily and which I didn't know how to move forward in. I returned to the UK in that time for a short break, and after a few days the weight lifted from me and I realised that everything looked totally different. Nothing had changed in the situations, but my perspective had totally changed, and looking at the situations from afar and from a different culture, some seemed ridiculous and I could laugh at them. Others still seemed difficult and sad, but I could pray for them with renewed hope. And for others, the way forward suddenly became clear. I'm listening to a podcast at the moment that Jay Lambert put me onto via Johnny Rust, and it's teaching the Bible from an Eastern Jewish perspective, highlighting all the things that we as Westerners miss when we read the text. In the most recent episode, they discuss what is meant by the original sin of Adam and Eve eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Essentially, the sin was that they had listened to another voice. God had placed Adam and Eve in the midst of his beautiful creation, which he had called good. He had made them in his image to rule over creation and had said that they were good, exactly as he had made them. But Adam and Eve chose to listen to a different narrative that cast doubt on what God had said and instead offered a different story. We know what happened to Adam and Eve, but we also know that this was not the end of the story. Jesus came as a man, God with us, who fully listened to and embraced the narrative of God over his life. Now, in him, we can choose to fully enter into God's narrative for our lives. As he is with us, because he is in us through the Holy Spirit, we are also in him, and therefore can be with him in the throne room where he sits on his throne. If we can do what John Mark Comer says in his book and lay down the things that distract us so that we can spend time with him there, we find that there is a completely different perspective we can view things from. Looking at the situations we face from the throne room of God, from a different culture, everything looks totally different. Psalm 2 says, "Why do the nations plot and why do their people make useless plans? The kings of this earth have all joined together to turn against the Lord and his chosen one. They say, let's cut the ropes and set ourselves free. In heaven, the Lord laughs as he sits on his throne, making fun of the nations. The Lord becomes furious and threatens them. His anger terrifies them as he says, I've put my king on Zion, my sacred hill. I will tell the promise that the Lord has made to me. You are my son, because today I have become your father. Ask me for the nations, and every nation on earth will belong to you. You will smash them with an iron rod and shatter them like dishes of clay. Be wise, all you rulers, and pay close attention. Serve and honour the Lord. Be glad and tremble. Show respect to his son, because if you don't, the Lord might become furious and suddenly destroy you. But he blesses and protects everyone who runs to him." We are people of abnormal hope because Jesus sits on the throne and he blesses and protects everyone who runs to him. We also have the hope that God will one day judge and put right all the evil and injustice in the world. So whatever concerns us today, whatever we're facing, let's not be swept along by the narrative of the news cycle, Facebook, Twitter, or the rest of society with all its outrage, deceit and despair. Let's choose to believe God's narrative. Remember that he is with us, and remember that our hope lies in his kingdom, being established in every corner of this world.